7:36. All right, we have some breaking news right now. We want to let you know Fox News has confirmed Alaska Governor Sarah Palin is going to be John McCain's vice presidential running mate. It was speculation for a while, but the rumors had started because a private plane from Anchorage, Alaska landed in Dayton last night, and the two other top candidates for this position said they were not going to be in Dayton, Ohio, where McCain will introduce his running mate in just about an hour and a half from now. Once again, what we know is that Palin is 44 years old, a self-described hockey mom, a bit of a Republican maverick. Before becoming governor, she served 2 terms as mayor, also 2 terms on the city council in her hometown in Alaska. She also was the chairwoman of the Alaska Oil Commission, so she did have some national experience there. And right now we want to go to KTVU's political analyst, Mark Curtis, who is live in Denver, where you've been following the Democratic National Convention. Mark, you had said that this, Governor Palin was a dark horse, but a potential candidate. What's your reaction to this choice?
Well, talk about knocking Barack Obama off the front pages. I think this is a very bold choice, but it certainly has upsides and potential downsides. Certainly one of the potential downsides is her age. She's 44 years old, does not have a lot of political experience. And of course, the McCain camp has been attacking or criticizing Barack Obama for his lack of experience. So it kind of takes that issue off the table. On the plus side, there are a lot of disgruntled voters out there, particularly female supporters of Hillary Clinton, that really wanted to vote for a woman for vice president or president this year, and now this gives them that opportunity. There have been polls showing that upwards of 20 to 25% of the Clinton supporters were either going to vote for McCain or stay home, and now those votes are up for grabs. So that may be the plus side.
Hey, Mark, I just wanted to ask you a question. Is McCain part of the reason for picking this woman? We don't even know how well they know each other, but could part of the reason for picking her be that he wants to make a splash? I mean, this is a woman that very few people know on the national stage. She's going to have to be introduced. She is a woman, as you mentioned, and maybe McCain's trying to pick up those women voters. So his choice of somebody who is relatively unknown, how does that help him besides the fact that she's a woman?
Well, it's a dicey proposition. I mean, folks are already saying, could this be McCain's Dan Quayle moment? You recall George Bush Sr. back in 1988 picked a little-known Indiana senator that people really didn't know all that much about, and he had some moments people called the deer in the headlight moments in front of the National Press Corps. It hurt Dan Quayle. Will Sarah Palin have the same result? Who knows? If she gets up in front of the cameras, she is a former broadcaster. If she gets up in front of the cameras and really lights up the crowd, people could get very excited about her. I think people are very curious. Quite honestly, if I was John McCain, I would have picked a woman with perhaps more political experience, say Cape Haley Hutchinson, the senator from Texas, who's been in the U.S. Senate for 16 years and has a long track record in Texas politics. So the experience and age factor is going to be an issue because, of course, John McCain is celebrating his 72nd birthday today, and people are concerned about him picking a choice who's ready to step in to be president of the United States should the worst happen to Mr. McCain.
Yeah, so it'll set up some interesting debates between Joe Biden and Sarah Palin as well.
Well, you have the same issue with McCain and Obama. Longtime Washington politician versus someone who's relatively young and inexperienced. Well, now you have Joe Biden, longtime Washington politician, against Sarah Palin, somebody with relatively little experience. So it may be a neutralizing factor as far as that goes, especially when we get into the debates.
Right, and that seems sort of strange because then why would McCain want to neutralize that issue if he was running basically on that? I'm experienced, he's not. Now, as you say, he may have neutralized that.
Everything has an upside and a downside, and to be real honest with you, women in the United States vote in greater numbers than men, and we're expecting a close election. And when you talk about 10 to 20% of Hillary Clinton supporters, especially female voters who are mad and disgruntled and feel that Hillary Clinton got brushed aside, or one person I talked to seems to think the election was stolen from her. Look, there's enough votes there. We might be talking 2 to 4 million voters who are are angry enough to switch sides and vote for John McCain and Sarah Palin because he added a woman on the ticket, or they might still not vote. And in a close election, and we've had two in the last two go-rounds, that could spell the difference for McCain in this election. It's risky, but it could have a big payoff.
And do you know anything about her conservative credentials to say? Because I know a lot of conservatives were very concerned if McCain was going to pick a pro-choice candidate, for example, like Joe Lieberman or Tom Ridge.
Well, she is not pro-choice. She is against abortion rights, and so that should appeal to the more conservative wing of the party, because people sent out signals that if he picked someone, as you mentioned, Tom Ridge, who is pro-choice, that there might be a conservative backlash against John McCain. We know this about Sarah Palin. She's married. She has 5 children. She just had a baby within the last year, and that child has Down syndrome. So, you know, if you're looking for the family portrait out there, which is something that people in the political world like to trot out, you're going to have a nice family portrait from Alaska. We're going to get to know a lot about her in the next 24 to 48 hours, as well as her family. She does have some experience in the energy business, and so with energy and oil being a big issue this year, that is perhaps on the plus side for her too.
Right, based on what other Republicans were warning against in McCain's running mate, I guess we can assume, if it's not true, you just said it, that she's against abortion, and she's probably pro-drilling. She lives up there in Alaska and is governor of that state. I wonder, though, Mark, being a conservative woman, I mean, Hillary Clinton's sort of middle of the road to the left, and if she's a conservative woman, even though she's a woman, might that split that 15 to 20% of the vote that you talked about of sort of angry Hillary Clinton supporters who are not yet decided? I mean, are they going to go with her just because she's a woman, or are they going to make up their mind based on politics, too?
Well, it's certainly going to become a big part of this debate, and I'll tell you why. Because it is likely that 1, 2, or perhaps 3 U.S. Supreme Court justices will retire in the first term, whether it's Obama or McCain. And so they're going to make a big issue about that and how reshaping the U.S. Supreme Court could perhaps reshape the issue of abortion rights in this country. And I would imagine now we're going to have quite a debate on this issue, and it's something that particularly female voters are going to have to ponder. And so I expect both sides are going to try and take advantage of that position. But again, you know, abortion is perhaps the most volatile issue in the United States still. And, you know, this thing could cut both ways.
I'm just curious. I mean, Barack Obama had his big night last night, and as you mentioned, this announcement has certainly kind of pushed that off the headlines. But it was a spectacular night last night for Barack Obama at Mile High Stadium. How will this announcement, you know, how are the Democrats, do you feel, going to respond to this?
Well, they might be a little upset at being upstaged, quite honestly. Most of the delegates and people here are out at the airport in Denver trying to get out of town. Look, they had their moment last night. It was an absolutely thrilling and exciting, exhilarating event at Mile High Stadium here in Denver. They had their moment. They loved it. And they, of course, know the Republicans were going to take center stage next week in St. Paul for their convention. And obviously, they've kind of moved up that the starting line for that race. And so I think Democrats are leaving here very enthused and very excited and very willing to take on the Republican ticket. In particular, Barack Obama last night, I mean, he threw down the gauntlet. That's probably the most aggressive he's been so far when he said, if John McCain wants to talk about my temperament and my judgment, I am ready to take on that debate. That was really a new line from Barack Obama and puts him much more aggressively going after John McCain, especially on foreign policy issues.
All right, we've been talking to our political analyst, Mark Curtis, on this breaking news that John McCain is going to be tapping Alaska Governor Sarah Palin for his vice presidential nominee. Thank you very much, Mark, for your analysis. Once again, if you want more input, you can always go to Mark's website, markcurtismedia.com.